live.
Good morning. Welcome to the February 25th meeting of the New York State Commission on Ethics and Lobbying in Government. I'm going to turn it over to Executive Director Berlin to discuss the logistics of today's meeting and the status of our forums.
Thank you, Chair James. This meeting is being held pursuant to and in accordance with provisions of the state's open meetings law and executive law section 94. Both the meeting room we're using at the New York State Conference Center at 25 Beaver Street in Manhattan and the conference room at the Commission's offices in Albany at 540 Broadway are open to the public during public session. I should note that at this meeting, Commissioners Edwards and Caraballo are attending by video conference in accordance with provisions of Public Office Law Section 103-A and the Commission's rules and resolutions for remote participation on account of extraordinary circumstances. And I can state that between the Conference Center in Manhattan and the Commission's offices in Albany, we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, so the first item on the agenda is approval of our minutes session in January 21st, 2026. Anybody want to make a motion? Are there any corrections or?
There's one correction that's been provided, and that's on the top of page 4, second line, sentence beginning the provision that allocating should be allocated portion. Let's see, it will change. I believe we proceed.
We like correction. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Commissioner Karras, second. Motion is abstained. Commissioner Scott.
And
You abstain?
I have to.
Oh, no, you weren't here. All in favor? Aye. Yeah, we're, all right, so unanimous except for Commissioner Austin, who abstains. Motion passes. Let's go to the item on the agenda, the drafts, the operations update. Executive Director Berlin.
Thank you, Chair James. The operations update is under tab B in the book. As we have been doing over the past couple of commission meetings, we'll be very brief. I'll just touch some highlights. And if the commissioners have any questions, of course, staff is available to respond to them now. And if anything else is raised, we can do that subsequently as well. And let me just note that respect to investigations enforcement, first page, note that the overall open and pending number has come down, even though the unit remains short. And it's down from 230 total open and pending matters from 247 in December. Next page, guidance requests are continuing to be high. After a slight dip in the fall, they're back up to record numbers. Lobbying division, page 3, you'll see that January was a combined bi-monthly client semi-annual. So big numbers, large volume handled by the unit. You'll also see that there's been a big surge in the number of inquiries fielded by the help desk, nearly 5,000 in January. We think that's largely the result of the next triennial cycle of ethics training kicking in for lobbyists and clients. Again, we have a proposal to convert, among other things, to a 2-year cycle for that training to correspond to the biennial training cycle. Financial disclosure unit, I'll just update the number of outstanding filings from the 2059. Failure to file notices that went out in December. As of today, the outstanding number is down to 172 from 2,159. With respect to the training unit, a small update there. The total number trained by our training unit, by ethics officers live and on demand, the total is now just a hair under 13,986 for the month. It's still well below half what our target figure should be to train the entire workforce each year. And the cumulative total from the beginning of time, we're no longer reflecting that. We've gotten through that initial three-year, 4-month period. But the total is now approximately 626,000 trainings since inception. Compliance audit and review unit has been down 2 auditors. And the numbers of the month reflect that, 149 total. Targeted reviews and random audits against what we're targeting, which is approaching 200 per month. Talk a little bit more about that. In the communications division, high number of requests coming in, 32 responses as compared with 6 in December. So very, very active, but also timely responding to all the requests, as well as handling all the other communications demands that affect that unit. Any questions? Or anything we can cover? Thank you. Go to the next slide.
Let's go to the budget page.
Under tab C, you will see the year-to-date, this current fiscal year, which expires at the end of March, where we stand. We are projecting, as previously, no surplus for the year. And we will be concluding the year in budget that reflects in a substantial way the fact that we have not been hiring as a result of budgetary situation going forward and lack of certainty about whether our funding will or won't be adequate in the coming fiscal year to meet our plan. We will say that we have structured our budget for the coming year. And under tab, unless there are any questions about the expiring budget, I should add that we're entering into a letter of intent at the beginning of the project with jointly with ITS, looking to initiate the process for updating our financial disclosure system, our lobbying application, search query. So we will be moving into the LOI. We will be effectively making a down payment. But we will have no surplus for the year. For the coming year, if you look at the cash plan under the, we'll see we've projected out what our spending would look like monthly if we're limited to the governor's proposal. The governor's proposal, as we previously discussed, reduced the amount that we had asked for, $50,000. Nominally, it's hitting in the non-personal services line. We had already cut that line in our projections in order to come in flat by $218,000, and we had shifted that money in consultation with DOE to the personal services line to support the headcount of 68 that we're targeting. What we've gotten back from the governor is a $250,000 reduction on the NPS side. That's a total of $468,000 of reduction. That leaves us with just over a little over $1 million. Our rental loan is almost $700,000. We have other contractual obligations, taxes, utilities, equipment, software licenses, and the like. Effectively, and we have been meeting with members of the legislature. We've had discussions with the executive chamber. If we cannot regain that $250,000, we're going to have to move it back to NPS to cover our expenses. And that means we will not be able to fill vacancies in investigations and enforcement. In our compliance audit and review unit, 2 positions in the training unit, including a trainer, and another position in the financial disclosure unit. Those are all major consequences. We have been meeting with members of the legislature and with the chamber. I think I can say in some that we've got positive feedback. We won't have one-house bills for some number of weeks now until in March. We're hoping we'll have relief then. Last year, we didn't get relief until the very end of the process. Or a good deal of effort on our part, working with the legislature, working with the executive chamber to restore. But those are the steps we're taking. Under tab E, and you saw a draft before we finalized it, is the testimony, my written testimony to the joint session, legislative joint session. I covered the issue I've just discussed, the $250,000 shortfall, as well as our side letter ask, which was for $750,000 go toward our replacement, upgrading, updating, antiquated lobbying application, public search query, and financial disclosure systems. As you know, in conjunction with the Division of Budget, we provided a legislative proposal that would increase lobbying fees, registration fees, as well as late fees for registrations. Proposal to increase by regulation fees we charge for late registration filings. Those more than cover the $750,000 we're asking for in the first year, and in succeeding years. The following fiscal year would bring in about $1.6 million total revenue. We've asked for $375,000 of that for some number of years to complete the upgrading of the system. The point is, if those proposals are adopted, the additional revenue every biennial cycle will total somewhere in excess of $2.5 million. That's over and above the $1 million plus that on average we generate every year for the general fund. So we've provided a mechanism to pay for that. The governor's budget picked up the increased fees and the increased revenue. It omitted the provision that would take a portion of those funds to help replace and upgrade our systems. That's covered in the under tab E. Any questions? Tab F. I will go through the chart. Those are the per diems that have been paid or will be paid today to commissioners. And it covers for some commissioners the November and December commission meetings, preparation hours for some commissioners for August through January. And it also reflects an adjustment for an overpayment by VSC that was reversed in these payments that are reflected here. The total is now, with that payment, $41,759. The year-to-date total, fiscal year-to-date total, is now $189,867. Is it for the advance? No questions. Sorry. Staffing update. Previously announced that we were actively recruiting to fill one of the 2 vacancies for auditors in the compliance audit review. We now have identified, accepted, and approved candidate to fill the position. She will be in Albany in coming weeks, and we expect to have her on board sometime in March. So that will be filling one of the two auditor positions. That will get our head count 63. But if we can fill the other position, we can go to 60. But the individual is well qualified, and I'll go through her credentials when I introduce her to the commission, hopefully in her next speech. In addition, I'm very happy to announce, this is also in the compliance audit and review unit. We have a new internal controls officer, Renee Jackson, who has been with this agency since inception, and that was with JPA back to 2019. Has now taken over that position, and the BDA has been approved, and she is already hard at work. Renee holds a degree in business administration and accounting from Iona College, magna cum laude. She has a master's degree in forensic accounting from SUNY Albany. She's a certified public accountant, and she's a member of the AICP. So I'm quite lucky to have her in the position. We very much look forward to having her serve. She's got big shoes to fill. The prior incumbent had done a phenomenal job, and the handoff is going smoothly. So I'm very pleased to announce that Renee is now in that position. We still have a number of BDAs, our administrative team, and Emily DeSantis, Chief of Staff, Director of Public Affairs and Communications, have been working with budget to try to move those along. We've gotten a couple approved, still have quite a few outstanding. And again, we need clarity on the budget situation. These BDAs do not have a substantial effect from a budgetary perspective, but everything is wrapped up in getting the budgetary situation clarified. Any questions? And that's what I have for staffing.
Thank you. Next we have the chair report and committee reports. There is no report from the chair. Do any of the committees have anything that they want to report today?
I will note, I don't know, Commissioner Edwards can hear me, hopefully. I'm losing my voice, apologize. Staff training unit has put together a proposal for addressing the need to promptly provide live training to those individuals in the executive branch workforce who didn't complete training in 2024 or 2025. That's a top priority. The initial approach we were taking was to allow a grace period for those individuals to get training in the early part of this year. The feedback we've gotten from ethics officers and trainers and our own perception is that trying to have multiple trainings for individuals within the workforce, which now numbers over 330,000, is going to put an excessive strain on the system for training. We've learned a lot over the past 3 years plus on how to roll out training, how to make on-demand training available, how to support ethics officers, how to expand our own ability to provide training. But even so, and even with the high numbers of trainings that were conducted impressively from late summer through fall and into the winter of last year, even at those high levels, it's likely to be impossible. We'll create another spillover if we try to have multiple trainings for individuals for the coming year. So working on developing a system, staff has made a proposal, which I understand the Education Committee will be taking up, shortly, and we'll work with them. I will work with them to schedule a meeting as soon as possible so that they can come back with their recommendation based on staff's proposal.
I don't think there's any of the other committees have a report now. The next item on the agenda is proposed addition to the commission legislative agenda, which would amend Executive Law 94 to empower the Commission Act by majority vote of the total number of appointed members of the commission, as opposed to a majority of the statutorily required number of commissioners. Vice Chair Ayers has provided us with a memo. However, I know that the legislative committee wanted to discuss this. So I'm going to suggest that we refer it to the legislative committee for further discussion and to come back at our next meeting with a recommendation.
Yeah, I'll just say my intention was to put this in front of the commission and then to ask if folks wanted to send it to the legislative committee, because I think that would be the normal process. So unless the legislative committee doesn't want it or anybody has objections, I'll make the motion. But I see that Commissioner Edwards has a question or comment.
Yes. You're on mute, Commissioner Edwards.
Sorry, good morning.
Right.
I was seeing this for the first time in the board book. And I thought we had a process that, I know that when committee members come up with material they want to present to the board or present at their meetings, it gets circulated to all commission members at the same time. Does that process still hold? Does that process hold for people, commissioners who want to go beyond, wants to submit directly to the board? I would have liked to have seen this before it hit the board, but because I have some concerns about the language.
Well, we're not considering it today. It's going to the legislative committee and everything will be distributed to all the members.
Yeah, but this is already submitted in public session and we haven't seen it. So I was under the impression I would have had the opportunity to at least review and comment on it prior to it going to the board book.
Commissioner Ayers?
I'll just say,
Vice Chair.
so the processes that we put in our commission meeting procedures was that any individual commissioner can submit a proposal to the full commission and then it goes to committee. So
I thought it was just the opposite, that if the commissioner has if a commissioner has a proposal, it would go to the committee first. If the committee turned it down or it wasn't willing to entertain it, they could bring it directly to the commission. Am I misunderstanding that?
but my understanding is yes, if you look at the commission procedures, that a proposal has to be referred to a committee before the committee is allowed to look at it. So it doesn't have to be in writing. So we can say at a full meeting, I think the legislative committee should consider such and such. And of course, staff can go.
Well, I guess I would have preferred that because again, the language here, I mean, I don't want to discuss it in public session, but I'm just uncomfortable with the language. And it doesn't allow me to address that before you make that delivery. Whereas if the committee does something, I have the opportunity to review it, to see it as it's being discussed, as it's in discussion, and I have the opportunity to participate in it, to participate in commenting whether or not I'm on the committee.
Commissioner Evans, that's why it's being referred to the committee. We're not taking it up today. It's being referred to the committee, and Commissioner Caraballo will convene a meeting of the committee, which will be open to all the commission members.
I understand that, and I won't belabor the point. The point is, it's in writing in the book before that conversation takes place. And I agree with Commissioner Ayers that it's okay to have a verbal conversation about, generally speaking, what you want to do, and it gets referred to the committee. But to have a full proposal that's in the board book before we had a chance to review just seems to be awkward for those who have problems with the language.
I could be wrong, but I think that if it goes to the committee as a written proposal, that's also public. In other words, I mean, this is, to be clear, this is a memo from me. This is in no way a proposal that speaks for anybody except my view, and it hasn't been discussed yet, so even my views may change. But I think it would be just as public if we sent it to the committee, because committee materials, correct me if I'm wrong,
It does, but it goes to the commissioners while the committee is addressing it. And all I'm saying is, if, for example, if Commissioner Carabello has a meeting, everything that she prepared for that meeting goes to all of the commission members before the meeting, in time to have input or make a decision whether we want to participate or observe that meeting. We didn't have that opportunity here.
We're gonna have, the committee is going to meet, so I'm gonna ask we move on to the next item. Commissioner Carby, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, I think, no, I don't. Thank you.
All right, so we'll set a meeting of the legislative committee, and they will consider this recommendation from Vice Chair Ayers, and all commissioners are invited to attend and will receive notice of the meeting and any materials that relate to this.
Yes.
do we need to vote on? Okay, good.
So change that. So I'm referring you to the committee.
Thank you. I'll take it
Um,
up shortly.
Thank you. G. Is there any new in the other business? So now let's take a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Public Officers Law, Section 105, Executive Law, Section 9411, to address matters concerning employment of personnel, pending litigation, investigative and enforcement, and other matter that is confidential pursuant to Section 94 of the Executive Laws and Section 105 of the Public Officers Law.
So moved.
Commissioner Austin. Second by Commissioner Karras. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, so we'll enter into executive session.
Your life. Thank you.
Welcome back to the February 25th meeting of the Commission on Ethics and Lobbying in Government. I'm going to ask Executive Director Berland to read out what was discussed in executive session.
Yes, thank you, Chair James. In executive session, the commission discussed matters related to litigation and legal advice. The commission approved informal guidance pursuant to executive law, Section 94.7 and Part 932. The commission discussed a formal opinion pursuant to executive law, Section 94.7C. The commission discussed steps in investigative matters, closed file matters, and discussed legal issues related to potential regulatory proposals. Thank you.
Is there any new business? There being none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Vice Chairs, you all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.